See?
All right. Dun, 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 dun. Let's get into news that broke yesterday. We wanted to jump on yesterday, but we knew we were going to have a show tonight. Eric, this is the second time I have been completely stunned by the Lakers this year. Number one, it was the Luka trade. Number two, the Buss family selling the Lakers. I mean, what was your initial reaction and what did you think?
Man, seriously, like it's funny that you say that because like Lakers just seem to come with like this big news, and we always talk about it how when you start, whether if it's a trade or obviously with this, when you start hearing rumors about things is when it doesn't actually happen. It's more so, just out of the blue. And so, look, like now that it happened, I know there's a lot of chatter of like, oh, kind of the writings was on the wall. We saw it happening, but I mean, for me, I could speak personally. I was in complete shock, and so I basically, just to kind of give you, I know we're going to get into it a little bit, but just kind of to tell you where I was at. So I was getting a haircut. I jumped into my car. I typically, if I'm free, I listen to Mason and Ireland, who's obviously they're staples of Los Angeles sports radio, and they were on 710. And I didn't hear this prior, but about 30 minutes before, they were talking about, because I don't know if you guys know John Ireland, and he's the play-by-play of the Lakers, right, on the radio. They were talking about how some big news was about to drop, but they cannot say what it is. And so I didn't hear that part, but if I would have heard that, I mean, I don't even know what I would have thought. But anywho, they were like, yeah, Shams is reporting, and then that the Lakers are the Buss family is selling majority ownership, and then I was like, man, who is it going to go to? And then, I hear that it's, the Mark Walters group. Right. And I mean, I was like, look, I was shocked. Obviously we love the Buss family. They brought us a lot of joy. We obviously are, it's well documented that we're big Laker fans, but I was in complete shock. Cause I don't know if you could see in my right and my left here, I got the Lakers, I got the Dodgers right here. So just the fact that the same owner is going to be owning both teams, it's just amazing. But what were your thoughts when you first heard it?
Yeah, man, I was in the clinic treating a client, and one of my colleagues just said the Lakers just sold, and I'm like, nah, he's lying. He's just lying to me. There's no way this is true. How did I not see it first? And actually, at some reason, I didn't even look at my watch because you guys are blowing me up at that point about it. And somehow I didn't see the text messages. But I was completely shocked. And like at first, I was just more like sad because like I feel like the Lakers are my first team I've ever really, I would say maybe the Dodgers first because I was really into baseball. But as soon as I started liking basketball and loving the Lakers, I mean, I was 6-7 years old, right? And that's all we know is the Buss family, right? So there's nothing else we know. And so it was kind of like, in that way, it was sad because like we wouldn't have that anymore. Like we were always talking about the Buss family, and then Jeannie's been great as an owner. And so that was kind of just like shell shock for the most part. But then when I heard it was a Dodgers owner, I'm like, holy shit. Like this couldn't get any better of an owner. Like you're not getting some random person like I didn't hear about or know about and has no ties to LA. Like you're getting somebody that owns the freaking Dodgers. You know what he's done in the past. I don't know, how long has he owned the team? 8 to 10 years? I forgot how long it's been.
2012, since the
2012,
Dodgers.
2012, right? So, and you know what he's done since then. Like how good they have been as a team, how much money he's willing to spend, all the trades they've made. You know that they're going to keep the same Lakers stigma that we've always had. And so that was kind of reassuring because once I heard that, I was like, yo, it's time to go. Like we're going to be in the business. There's no mom and pop shop anymore. Because I think that was part of it. And I've always told people this of like, the Lakers have been like, Jerry Buss put all his money into this franchise, right?
Yeah.
The NBA was almost going bankrupt. The Lakers were cheap at the time. He had to basically use his money that he's had and put that into it, probably kind of go in debt just to have the Lakers. So you knew like all their money was essentially always tied into the Lakers. So they didn't really have probably as much money on paper as the typical owner, like say Steve Ballmer, who has billions and billions of dollars, able to, build his own arena with his own money and not really give any F's about it, right? So like you
Yep.
knew that there might be a time where this was an option for them, right? And I was just shocked that it actually just happened this soon. Like I thought it would be when Genie's like pretty old or something like that. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, like since Jerry Buss passed 2013, I believe, there has been some ups and downs, and we know about it with the siblings. But I think once Genie took control, I mean, obviously they still did win a championship. I think between the championship and before Lakers getting Luka, I know for a fact that a lot of Laker fans were really frustrated with the organization, kind of forgetting about like, what they've done and what they've meant to the city. But as with fandoms, right? Fans, like we want to win. We want to win now, or we want to at least show signs that we're building something. And so I know for a fact there was a lot of frustrations, and there was talks like, hey, is this team ever going to be sold? Because they're kind of run like a mom and pop organization. I mean, we know nothing about their financials, of course. I mean, I'm sure they were perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
But they weren't like a Ballmer, as you mentioned, right? And some of these like hedge fund type of, folks that, print money. And so you're right about, it's not so much that they sold, but it's who they sold to. If it was just some kind of random, group that, like I just said, prints money, we don't know how that could turn out, right? I mean, we know there's a lot of bad owners that have a lot of money, whether they don't know a lick or they are too involved. You see it all the time, and so I think, and I think was part of it. Like part of it is the Lakers family, Buss family, got an offer they couldn't refuse, but I think they also wanted to make sure that the Lakers were in a good place, like moving forward. And I we'll get into the particulars here in a second, but that's just kind of like first thought is like bittersweet. But it was kind of going to happen eventually. When you hear about it on a Wednesday afternoon, where it really wasn't talked about at all, at least publicly, it's crazy. And now I'm like starting to like hear these things that I guess I didn't even realize that he had like 26, talking about Mark Walter. He had a pretty good percentage of the team already. I'll be honest, I didn't know that. I probably should have, but I didn't realize that he already had that since 2021. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, because I remember the guy from AG owned it, owned that portion, and then he bought that, right? Like I bet I didn't like I couldn't. If you asked me who owned other portions of the Lakers, I would have not ever said him. I just remember that like that transaction happened and kind of just forgot about it.
I think that's probably what it was.
But yeah, one of my thoughts was right away was like, hey, like we ain't gonna be cheap anymore. And when I mean cheap, like I'm talking about training staff, medical staff, anything in the arena of helping the Lakers, they're going to spend more money on that. And I think that's something where, the Buss family sometimes may have cheaped out on some of that stuff. I'm sure they paid people pretty well, but from what we've heard, like through the rumors and things like that, you've heard like sometimes they can be cheap when it comes to that, or even sometimes with the head coach, right? Tyronn Lue, what do you want? 5 years,
wanted to go
right?
3.
And some more money. Lakers wanted to go 3, right? So like we've known that they've had some things like that will happen. They're usually never cheap when it comes to players. They usually will play their players for the most part all the time. As much as their value is, as much as their worth is. But now you kind of have more reassurance that I feel like they will spend what they can on that outside stuff besides just the players and things like that.
Oh yeah, I mean they depended on their kind of their lure or like the brand for so long, and hell, I mean at the end of the day, it got LeBron James to come. We know Luka was a trade, but like that's going to lose its steam after a bit. When you have like a lot of these other teams with top big dollar owners that are really just catering to the team, and you're getting everything that you could hope and wish for, like you said, medically, training staff, you know, uh, like just more, front office execs,
Analytics, things like that.
analytics, scouting. And so, we know that it's not going to, unfortunately, it's not like baseball where you're just going to be able to just get whoever you want. I'm pretty sure all you guys know that by now. But, and it's tough with the second apron, but like, I think something like with Alex Caruso that happened to him like 4 or 5 years ago. Let's be honest, like Lakers didn't want to get into the luxury tax.
Sure.
And so that is like an example of something that probably wouldn't happen now. Now, again, it's different. There wasn't the whole first and second apron at that time. So there's some different variables now, but that's just an example of not wanting to spend a little bit more to get into the luxury tax, to kind of pay this like high dollar, tax bill. Right. And it's easy for us to say, just pay it. But when you're an owner of a team, I mean, it's your guys' money, right? And so, it's that stuff we won't have to worry about. And it's going to take like some time. I don't think it's going to do much for like this off season. We know Jeannie Buss is still going to be involved, from what it sounds like, at least for a bit. We'll see what that means. I don't know if it's just more of like a figurehead, right? Or if that's like they actually really mean that. We saw what happened with Mark Cuban, where that was set to happen. And we damn know for sure that if Cuban was had all basketball say, that he would not have traded Luka Doncic. So we know that's not real. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they did say she's going to retain governor position for the next couple of years or foreseeable future. I thought with Cuban, they were saying he would have some say in that, but for damn sure he would never trade a Luka. My first thought was just the whole, Kurt Rambis and Linda Rambis and like all those people, are they still going to have as much say in this? And then you should go down to what's next, like Rob Pelinka, right? Obviously he's done a tremendous job. He's traded for Luka. He's made some great moves as a career, as a GM and a president. So I think his job is super safe as far as anything to do with that. But that whole the connection to having all these people intertwined, more family ish, like the Busses in there making every decision, even the younger brothers, everybody like that. I think that for sure will change. It might be Jeannie as the head figure, but I think all that underneath stuff will be totally different, and they'll probably have some other people in some positions that you'll hear about over the next couple months.
Yeah, so when Mark Walter bought the Dodgers in 2012, so Ned Colletti was the general manager of the Dodgers, and he was a decent GM. They always had some decent teams, made it to the NLCS a couple times, but after 3 years is kind of when they moved on from him. Yeah. Right. Okay. So once they kind of hit a wall, and the same thing was happening every season. They were decent, but just kind of, either missing the playoffs by a hair or getting there and, going out early. They made the move, right? And so it could be something similar, right? Where we know there's not going to be any drastic changes, I don't think, early on. Hell, I mean, he's been associated with the team, Mark Walter, since 2021, having 26% ownership. So that's kind of nice, right? He knows there's like the pulse of the organization, somewhat, I would imagine. And so, from what I'm hearing, right, he's a great owner. He knows when to, stay out of things, but he also knows when he needs to meddle and things, And so, yeah, though you're right. Like she'll be that figurehead. She's still going to have like, a decent amount of ownership in the group or with the team. But yeah, those other guys, if, things don't kind of pan out the next 3 or 4 years, there could be some changes for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think if there becomes like a lull, or if we're just plateauing and kind of staying at the same position, there'll be some, I think, more drastic changes that will come, and some just philosophy changes that will happen. Now, my question for you is, does this increase the likelihood that Luka signs an extension in the summer? Like, or like, what were your thoughts on that? Were you just like, because for me, there's two thoughts. It's one, damn, Luka has gone through a shitload this whole year, right? Like getting traded
Yeah.
against his will, like he had no idea. Going to the Lakers, where he's like, all right, I'm with the Bus family. I'm with LeBron. I'm trying to get everything going. Losing the first round, now we have changed ownership. Like,
Yeah. I didn't
it's
think
a
about
lot.
that. Yeah.
And on top of that, Mark Cuban sold the team before he even got traded. Like everything's just changed so drastically over the past year for him. So does that make it better or worse? Chances.
I mean, I'd like to think better. I know a lot has happened. I think like the amount he's going to be able to sign for, it's not going to really change. I think if he was going to probably not sign the extension and give it another year and get into free agency, he was going to do that regardless.
Yep.
That's where he is able to get, more out of. So he still may do that. I mean, he's got to think like, like if it was kind of some random owner, I think there'd be more concern. But the fact that it's going to be that Walter Group, I think it's he's actually Luka's came out and tweeted something, right? And I think he was the only player that's done that. So I don't know. I gotta have a good feeling that he wants to be part of this, right? He knows like it is a new era of Lakers basketball, and we know LeBron's with us for another year or two, but it's Luka's team, and this is just another case of it just being, like I said, another era. And I think yes, there has been a lot of change, but him going to another team would be even more change. And so, I like the idea of him staying.
Yeah, let's hope we hear some contract extension talk, because I really don't feel like going into next season with Luka knowing that he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Like that just doesn't sit right. I don't think it's going to, even for the fans, like, because it's like the whole season you're like, gosh, I hope we re-sign it. I hope we re-sign him. And then what if it goes bad, right? Like if it goes sour, then it's like, oh, should we just trade him and try to get as much value for him if he's not going to sign it? There's just so many things that can happen. I just need some balance here and solidify our future. And I sure hope that they get something done to get him in the fold for the next 5 years or so, whatever that would look like.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I do feel a lot better about their future now, regardless. But yes. I think the top priority is re-signing Luka Doncic to a, long-term extension, so we can wrap that up and we can start to, build around him eventually. But man, look, I think it's all been said. So Jerry Buss, 1979, bought the team for $67 million. That also came with the Kings and the Forum, and so. Here we are, years and years later, $10 billion. Ramona Shelburne reported this morning that basically what ended up happening was this was kind of an idea that was been talked about for some time, not publicly, obviously. It wasn't where the Lakers were proactively trying to sell the team, or else we probably would have heard something. It was going to be Mark Walters or probably nobody, at least in the short term. And so just yesterday, because there's 6 Bus kids, and all Bus kids, have a stake in the franchise, right? And so they all voted, and there had to be a majority vote, one way or the other, right? Or no, a majority vote for it to actually happen. So if it was 3-3 or obviously 2-4, 1-5, whatever, it wouldn't have happened. And so they voted yesterday, and obviously they got enough votes, which was 4. And that's why the news came out yesterday. So it's pretty crazy. Like, I wonder how it all went down. Were they like sitting in a living room or sitting in an office, and they're like, guys, like, we're going to have to worry about a damn thing, for the rest of our lives. And so that's how it all went down.
I wonder who the other 2 were, or the 2 that voted no.
Yeah.
Which siblings those were?
I don't know. Maybe like Johnny Buss. I know he was kind of like a, black, kind of like black sheep, but I'm assuming he was part of it, right? I would imagine, because he's one of them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because you got Genie obviously voted yes.
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure, Genie voted yes. That's all that was reported.
Probably the two younger guys maybe voted yes. I think Jim.
Yeah.
Jim for sure probably voted yes. He's been long gone from the Lakers, and he's like just with his flip phone, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So I would just say that those probably four, and then maybe the older siblings like voted no. I mean, it's hard to say what it would be, but anyways, nonetheless,
Maybe it'll come out one day. But
yeah, we have a new owner. And I think that's a positive. I mean, just look at the track record with who he signs as free agents and who he's traded for. Signed Shohei Ohtani, signed Freddie Freeman, traded for Mookie Betts. That's all you need to know. And he's been willing to put as much money as possible into that team. Yes, salary cap is different. But if he's willing to go over the luxury tax and kind of pay a little bit more for players, I think that will still be a benefit to the Lakers. I know the new CBA is different and we'll have all these aprons that will affect us in different ways as far as making trades. So that is one thing, but he will get smart people around to figure all that out, along with Rob Pelinka, who I think is already doing a pretty good job with that.
yeah, you're going to see if the Lakers feel like they're right there, they probably will make that gamble. But if it's like a toss up, I mean, I talked about it yesterday a little bit where it's like, yeah, unfortunately it's a little bit more than just the luxury tax. If you go to that second apron, you have a little bit, or not a little bit, but you have a lot less flexibility with draft picks, mid-level exceptions. When you make a trade, there's some kind of kicker there where, like, if you do it now, you don't have to match salary for salary, dollar for dollar. You have to match it like to a certain extent. But if you go in your second apron, you have to match it. So there's some different things that we don't get paid to figure out, and they will. And so regardless, I think it's a good sign, and I'm pretty sure those that are not fans of the Lakers, it's not a good day. But for us Laker fans, it was a memorable day for sure.
That's for sure. I mean, I was just thinking, who would have thought we would get the Lakers selling before we get the next Knicks head coach? I mean, come on. If you would have told me, like, hey, let's make a bet. The New York Knicks going to hire a head coach or the Lakers going to sell their team? I mean, the Knicks should have a head coach. And looking like I don't know who's going to be their head coach at this point. So,
yeah,
anyways,
that's funny. I haven't heard much about them as of late. So Lakers have stolen the headlines of the NBA right now. Yep.
All right. Yeah. So fascinating news yesterday. I mean, we're itching to get on here and talk about it because it obviously changes the dynamics of the franchise. I think for the better, now that we know who the actual person is. But we'll see. We'll see if that changes anything with Luka. I know we haven't even talked about the King, LeBron, right? Like what that does to him. But I honestly don't think it makes any difference for him. He was going to either stay or do whatever he wants regardless of whatever happens with ownership.
Yeah. LeBron. Yeah, I think with the sale, it's like before we start seeing start paying dividends, I think it's going to be a couple of years, right? And so at that point, I would imagine LeBron will be gone. And so yeah, I don't think it really factors in anything. He was going to come back. He's still going to come back, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, I would say the only benefit is probably him learning from Mark Walter how to buy a franchise and like all the ventures that he's made. Because I know that's LeBron's next step is he wants to be an owner eventually. So he's going to have to use all his resources to try to get to that point as well.
Yeah. He's just got to. Hopefully, it's not a team that costs $10 billion because that's
why it's the new franchise, Las Vegas. We know that's going to happen. He's going to own the Las Vegas somethings. Okay. And it's going to be for cheap, just like Jordan. It was cheap. I don't even know. What did Jordan get Charlotte for? $300 million?
I don't even know.
Like when the NBA owned the whatever they own, or no, it's the Pelicans. They owned it. You know, like the NBA just
Wonder how
does
that
things
works.
where
The
they just
expansion.
know, like, hey, if we put this person here, we want this person leading this franchise. I'm sure that would happen with LeBron James. So,
Yep. I can see it. I know that's his goal, and it probably will happen. And obviously,